Niger has one of the biggest uranium deposits. Ah, how interesting is it that one of the biggest US foreign drone bases happens to be there? One. Two, that France has a strong military presence adjacent to this big uranium deposit. And then finally, that I think it's 1 in 3 French light bulbs, the light bulbs in France, 1 in 3 of them gets energy from that uranium deposit in Niger, in Africa.
That's
And let us
wild.
contrast the reality of the fact that, as far as I know, most of the French population has access to electricity. I think they have 100% electricity
24
access rate
last I was there, it was 24 hours a day, always coming out
all
of
the
the outlet.
time. What is the access of the people of Niger? It is less than, I think, 15% have access to the grid, let alone the guarantee of electricity. Those are the people of Niger. And I'm saying this because we've just seen in Afghanistan, they've left Afghanistan 20 years, over 2 trillion spent. Is it 2 trillion, right? 2.5?
I think it's an underestimate. I think it's closer to 6 trillion. But let's go to be generous. We can say 2 trillion. It's still an absurd
2
amount of money.
trillion. Let's be
Right.
generous. And how much of the population has access to electricity? It's less than a third. I think it's closer to a quarter of the population. So in Niger, you have 80+% of the population don't have access to electricity. We've seen what has happened in Afghanistan. Most of the population doesn't have access to electricity. Yet we still don't want to talk about the fact that the US, French, and foreign military armies are essentially protecting their access to these resources at the detriment of the African continent.